Hey everyone, and welcome to a mini deep dive all about vulnerability management engineers. We know you're here because you want to beef up your cybersecurity. And that means you need the right HT person for the job. And luckily, the folks over at theperfectdeveloper.com are masters at this stuff. They've even got this cool tool. It's called the 5 questions. It helps simplify that whole hiring process. Seriously, check it out, theperfectdeveloper.com. It's a game changer. But first, let's break down exactly what a vulnerability management engineer even does.
Well, think of them as the guardians of your digital fortresses. Their mission: to find and fix weaknesses in your systems before someone with less than noble intentions can exploit them. They're not just reacting to attacks, they're proactively hunting for vulnerabilities.
So, like digital detectives. But instead of dusting for fingerprints, they're scanning code for security holes.
Precisely. They use some pretty sophisticated tools for this, like vulnerability scanners. These scanners can probe networks and applications for weaknesses. One type of scan, for example, is a penetration test, where they simulate a real attack to see how your defenses hold up. It's kind of like a controlled fire drill for your security systems.
Okay, so they find these vulnerabilities. What happens next? Do they also fix them?
That's where the management part comes in. Once they identify a vulnerability, they assess the risk it poses, prioritize it based on severity, and then create a plan to remediate it. This might involve patching software, reconfiguring firewalls, or even working with developers to fix security flaws in the code itself. It's a collaborative effort, and communication is key.
Right, because they need to be able to explain these complex technical issues to people who might not be as tech savvy.
Exactly. Remember that time a major social media company had a data breach? Because of a simple misconfiguration, a vulnerability management engineer with strong communication skills could have explained the risk to the IT team in a clear, concise way, potentially preventing that whole mess.
Whoa, that's a great example of why those soft skills are just as important
Yeah.
as the technical chops. So, let's say you're convinced that you need a vulnerability management engineer on your team. What kind of salary are we talking about here?
Well, it depends on their experience and where you're located. But experienced engineers in high-demand areas can earn upwards of $120,000 annually, maybe even more. And as cyber threats become more sophisticated, that demand and those salaries are only going to increase.
Makes sense. Now, should you be thinking full-time, part-time, or maybe even outsourcing this role?
That's where things get interesting. A large company with tons of digital assets probably needs a full-time vulnerability management engineer, someone deeply ingrained in their security culture. But for a smaller company, a part-time arrangement, or even outsourcing to a specialized firm might make more sense. The experts at theperfectdeveloper.com can actually help you figure out the best approach based on your specific needs and budget.
That's super helpful. So, let's say you've decided to go for it and hire a vulnerability management engineer. What's the best way to go about finding the right person for the job?
Well, you want to start by looking for someone with a solid foundation in cybersecurity principles and methodologies.
Okay, so experience with firewalls, intrusion detection systems, that sort of thing.
Yes, but also the deep understanding of security frameworks like NIST and ISO 27001, which provide guidelines for managing risks. And when it comes to technical skills, look for experience with tools like Nessus or Qualys. These are industry standard vulnerability scanners that help automate the process of finding and reporting security weaknesses.
So you need someone who knows the security landscape, can use the right tools, and can communicate effectively across different teams. That's a lot to look for.
It is, but finding that perfect candidate is crucial. It's not just about checking off boxes on a resume. You want someone who's passionate about security, who's constantly learning and evolving, and who can truly be a champion for security within your organization.
And where better to find that security champion than theperfectdeveloper.com?
Right.
They've got a whole network of pre-vetted developers just waiting to be matched with the right company. Speaking of which, what are some key things to look for during the hiring process?
Yeah.
Like, how do you know if someone's got what it takes to be a rock star vulnerability management engineer?
That's where we separate the script kiddies from the true security professionals. It's all about looking beyond those technical skills. You want someone who's a problem solver at heart, someone who can think like an attacker and anticipate their moves.
Ah, so you're saying it's not just about knowing how to use the tools, but also about having that creative, analytical mindset.
Absolutely. You want someone who can not only find vulnerabilities, but also understand the context, assess the risks, and come up with effective solutions. They need to be able to prioritize effectively, knowing that not all vulnerabilities are created equal. Some might require immediate action, while others can be addressed
Yeah.
in a more planned manner.
It's it's like a triage situation where they need to quickly assess the severity of each vulnerability and
Yeah.
decide what needs immediate attention.
Exactly. And they need to be able to communicate those findings to different stakeholders, from developers to executives, in a way that everyone understands.
Speaking of communication, how important is teamwork in this role?
Teamwork is absolutely crucial. A vulnerability management engineer doesn't work in isolation. They need to collaborate with developers to fix security flaws in the code, with system administrators to implement security controls, and with management to develop and enforce security policies.
So they're kind of like the security ambassadors, bridging the gap between the technical folks and the business side of things.
That's a great way to put it. They need to be able to speak the language of both worlds and build strong relationships across different teams.
Okay, so we've talked about the technical skills,
Mm.
the problem-solving mindset, the
Mm.
communication skills, and the importance of teamwork. Anything else we should be looking for during the interview process?
Well, this might sound obvious, but you want someone who's passionate about security, someone who's genuinely interested in staying ahead of the curve, learning new things, and constantly improving their skills. The cybersecurity landscape is always evolving, so you need someone who's adaptable and embraces change.
You're looking for someone who's not just doing a job, but living and breathing security.
Exactly. You want that fire in their eyes, that eagerness to learn and grow. That's what separates the good from the great.
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Now, once you've found that security superstar, how do you make sure they hit the ground running? What does a good onboarding process look like for a vulnerability management engineer?
Onboarding is all about setting them up for success. It's important to give them a clear understanding of the company's security posture, the existing infrastructure, and the security policies that are in place. Introduce them to the key stakeholders they'll be working with, and provide them with the tools and resources they need to do their job effectively.
So it's about making them feel welcome, giving them the lay of the land, and empowering them to contribute right away.
Precisely. And don't forget about ongoing training and development. The security field is constantly evolving, with new threats emerging all the time. You want to encourage your vulnerability management engineer to stay up to date on the latest trends and technologies through training, certifications, and industry events.
It sounds like continuous learning is key in this role.
Absolutely. It's not a one and done situation. You need to foster a culture of continuous improvement where your security team is always learning, growing, and adapting to new challenges.
And that's where a resource like theperfectdeveloper.com can really shine.
Right.
They're not just about helping you find the right people, they're also about helping you develop and retain top talent.
Exactly. They offer a wealth of resources for both employers and developers, from training programs to career development advice. They're truly invested in helping you build a world-class security team.
That's fantastic. So we've talked about finding the right person, onboarding them effectively, and fostering their ongoing development. But there's one crucial aspect of the hiring process we haven't touched on yet: negotiation. How do you approach salary and benefits in a way that's fair to both sides?
Negotiation is all about finding that sweet spot where both parties feel good about the deal. Do your research beforehand. Understand the market rate for vulnerability management engineers. With similar experience in your area, you can use sites like Glassdoor or Salary.com to get a sense of the going rates.
You don't want to lowball them, but you also don't want to overpay and break the bank.
Exactly. It's a balancing act. Be transparent with the candidate about your budget, but also be willing to listen to their expectations and find creative ways to structure the offer. Don't forget about non-salary perks and benefits.
Like flexible work arrangements,
Yeah,
professional development opportunities, or even stock options.
exactly. It's about creating a compelling package that goes beyond just the paycheck. And here's a pro tip. ThePerfectDeveloper.com actually has resources to help you navigate those negotiations and structure offers that are competitive and appealing. They're like your secret weapon in the hiring process.
Wow, that's incredibly helpful. Okay, so you found the perfect candidate, negotiated a fair offer, and they've accepted the job. Congratulations. But the journey doesn't end there. What are some tips for ensuring your new vulnerability management engineer thrives in their role and becomes a valuable asset to your organization?
Well, once they're on board, it's important to create a supportive and collaborative work environment where they feel valued and empowered to make a difference. Give them the autonomy to own their work. Encourage them to share their ideas and celebrate their successes.
So it's about fostering a culture where they feel like they're part of something better, where their contributions are recognized and appreciated.
Absolutely. And don't forget about mentorship. Pair them up with a senior security professional who can guide them, answer their questions, and help them navigate the complexities of the organization.
It's like having a security Yoda to guide them on their Jedi path.
Exactly. A mentor can provide invaluable insights, share their experiences, and help your new hire grow both professionally and personally.
This has been an incredibly insightful conversation. We've covered so much ground, from defining the role of a vulnerability management engineer to navigating the entire hiring process. But as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, what's the one key takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
It's simple. Investing in a vulnerability management engineer is investing in the security and resilience of your organization. In today's digital world, it's not a matter of if you'll be targeted, but when. Having a skilled and dedicated vulnerability management engineer on your team can be the difference between a minor inconvenience and a major catastrophe.
That's a powerful message. And for those who are ready to take that step and build a strong security foundation for their organization, theperfectdeveloper.com is an invaluable resource.
Absolutely. They've got the tools, the expertise, and the network to help you find the perfect vulnerability management engineer and set them up for success.
This has been an awesome deep dive so far, but we're not done yet. We'll be back in the next segment to explore the evolving challenges and exciting opportunities that lie ahead for vulnerability management engineers. So stay tuned for more insights and expert advice. Welcome back to our deep dive into the world of vulnerability management engineers. So far, we've covered what they do, how to find them, and how to set them up for success. But as we all know, cybersecurity, it never stands still.
That's right. The threat landscape, it's constantly evolving, with new vulnerabilities emerging every day. And as technology advances, so too do the challenges and opportunities for vulnerability management engineers.
Okay, so let's talk about the future. What are some of the biggest challenges that vulnerability management engineers are facing right now?
One of the biggest challenges is the sheer volume of vulnerabilities being discovered. There are literally thousands of new vulnerabilities reported every year. It makes it really difficult to prioritize and remediate them all effectively.
It's like trying to drink from a fire hose.
Right.
So many vulnerabilities,
Yeah.
so little time.
Exactly. And with the rise of cloud computing, mobile devices, and the Internet of Things, the attack surface is expanding exponentially, making it even harder to secure everything.
It's not just about securing your company's network anymore. It's about securing all these interconnected devices and systems, many of which are outside your direct control.
That's right. And to make matters worse, attackers, they're becoming more sophisticated and organized, using advanced techniques like automation and artificial intelligence to exploit vulnerabilities faster than ever before.
So it's a constant arms race, with the good guys trying to stay one step ahead of the bad guys.
Precisely. And that's why it's so important for vulnerability management engineers to stay ahead of the curve, constantly learning and adapting to new threats and technologies.
Okay, so we've talked about the challenges. Now let's flip the script and talk about the exciting opportunities, what's on the horizon for vulnerability management engineers.
Well, for starters, the demand for skilled cybersecurity professionals is skyrocketing, which means there are tons of job opportunities and career growth potential for vulnerability management engineers.
So, if you're looking for a stable and rewarding career with plenty of room for advancement, this is definitely a field to consider.
Absolutely. And with the increasing importance of cybersecurity, vulnerability management engineers are playing a more strategic role within organizations. They're not just seen as technical fixers anymore. They're being consulted on security strategy, risk management, and even business decisions.
So they're having a bigger impact
Yeah.
on the overall direction of the company.
Exactly. They're becoming trusted advisors to executives, helping them understand and manage cyber risks in a way that aligns with business objectives.
That's awesome. So not only is the work challenge and rewarding, but it's also becoming increasingly influential.
And let's not forget about the technological advancements that are shaping the future of vulnerability management. We're seeing the emergence of exciting new tools and techniques like machine learning and automation that are helping vulnerability management engineers work more efficiently and effectively.
So it's not just about manually scanning systems and chasing down vulnerabilities anymore. Technology is playing a bigger role in automating and streamlining the process.
That's right. And with these advancements, vulnerability management engineers can focus on more strategic tasks like threat modeling, risk analysis, and security architecture design.
This is all incredibly fascinating. But before we wrap up our deep dive, what's one piece of advice you would give to someone who's considering a career as a vulnerability management engineer?
I would say embrace the challenge. The world of cybersecurity is constantly evolving, which means you'll never stop learning and growing. Stay curious, stay informed, and be passionate about protecting organizations from cyber threats.
That's great advice. And if you're ready to embark on this exciting journey, theperfectdeveloper.com is an incredible resource for finding your perfect role and connecting with a community of like-minded professionals.
Absolutely. They've got everything you need to kickstart your career in vulnerability management.
Well, this has been an incredible deep dive into the world of vulnerability management engineers. We've explored their critical role, the hiring process, the evolving challenges and opportunities, and even the future of the field.
It's been a pleasure sharing these insights.
A huge thanks to theperfectdeveloper.com for their valuable resources and guidance. And to all of you listening, we hope this deep dive has left you feeling informed, inspired, and ready to build a more secure digital world. If you're ready to start your search for the perfect vulnerability management engineer, head over to theperfectdeveloper.com and try the 5 questions. It'll make your search so much easier. Thanks for joining us.